What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today I'm sitting here on New Year's Eve, and they teased like a big 2 days of reveal over New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and I was delighted. And it's now New Year's Day in Japan. Happy New Year to any of my Japanese friends that may be watching, or indeed anyone in a time zone where it's already popped over into New Year's Day. But they literally had a trailer with 31st of December. And then, get hyped. Please look forward to it. Nothing. Boo. The good news is, of course, although the big reveal I was hoping for today hasn't come down, that does not mean that nothing is happening in the One Piece TCG, because we absolutely do have some stuff to talk about. And I want to start off by talking about this Tony Chopper card. Yeah. This is, This is pretty special, frankly, ladies and gentlemen. This is pretty special. Now, look, So has been doing great work in the One Piece TCG. I mean, frankly, for a while now, all right? So has been doing just awesome work. But this is taking it next level. Now, you'll notice it is an alternate art, which is rather lovely. And it's the first alternate art, I believe, that So has actually done. And look, we've had some great So artwork. I am a big fan of Kung Fu Dugong. I'm sure not that many other people are, but I'm a very big fan of Kung Fu Dugong. I think that's cool. Of course, an awful lot of people are going to recognize the Jinbei promo that So did, which is, of course, absolutely brilliant. There are a bunch of others, but this one, I believe, with Tony Chopper, takes the biscuit. And look, obviously, when it comes to Tony Chopper, it's always going to be a little bit easier, because everybody loves Tony Chopper. It takes less convincing, shall we say. But don't sleep on this. This is just absolutely phenomenal, and I love it, and it's awesome. Now, in terms of what Tony Chopper actually does here, it's an extremely cool card, don't get me wrong. I just showed you it the other day. It's got blocker, and Don X2, when attacking, one of your characters loses 3,000 power. It's an extremely cool one, and I love it. In terms of analysis, I'm not sure quite how much more analysis we need. I can spend 5 minutes of the video analysing it if you want me to, although by the time you tell me the video is going to be over. But the reality is we've seen this already. We looked at it the other day. It's a very cool card. The fact that it's got blocker is lovely. The fact that it can lower power is lovely, and frankly, we know that this is a pretty good card. And the best use for it, I'm sorry, it's still the starter deck 10 lore. The fact that you can basically get rid of one of your opponent's lower power characters while then playing one of your own is good. But here, this is a card that can either be played by lore, which is good, or can lower the power of one of your opponent's characters such that it can be removed by lore, because before playing your own card, you put one of your opponent's characters of 3,000 power or less to the bottom of their deck. So yeah, just great in that particular deck. But that's, that's not that new, ladies and gentlemen, other than the art. The art is absolutely stunning, and also sitting there on the ship is just... Can we get So doing more of these, if you wouldn't mind? Oh my word, I love it. I absolutely love it. But there are some other cards we need to have a little bit of a look at. There are some other cards that have been revealed that could end up being very, very good. Like, for instance, Scarlet Flampe. This is a very cool card, and it's one I expect to see popping up in some yellow decks. Honestly, it's Big Mum Pirates, if anybody's wondering. Although, should have been kind of obvious with the whole Scarlet thing going on. One cost, 1,000 power, fine. Counter plus 2,000. Well, look, counter plus 2,000 is great. You need some counter plus 2,000 in your deck. So having counter plus 2,000 is a very good thing that we like very much indeed. Yay! But wait, there's more. Because we've got a skill here whereby on play, you can put the top or bottom card of your life into your hand and then draw a card. And yeah, honestly, this is really good. Because there's a couple of things going on here, right? I should say I did the translations for this myself. I will check with Orange Samurai D, who I'm assuming is checked with people on the Discord, but I've actually done all these myself. I haven't checked them yet. I'm pretty sure they're right. If they're wrong, I'll correct them before I post it. But basically, you can get a card from your life into your hand. That's good, that's card advantage. And you draw a card. That's good, that's card advantage. You add those two things together, jobs are good. And that's what this card does. It's either counter plus 2,000, yay, or it's card advantage, in which case, yay. Like, every part of this is good. And, of course, the fact that it is Big Mum Pirates means that it is searchable with Charlotte Pudding, which means that it's always nice to have a 2,000 power counter which is searchable. I'm not saying it's the only 2,000 power here. I mean, we've got a Charlotte Pudding which has counter plus 2,000. But my point is, it is one which is very searchable, and it's got counter plus 2,000, and it's got draw, and that's good. Obviously, there is a fairly sizable downside here, in that you have to take a card from your life and put it into your hand. So obviously, we can look at that and go, well, then you got one less life, which means your opponent's closer to winning the game. Which is true, incidentally. But don't forget, we've got stuff that wants you to be behind on prizes. Take, for instance, the starter deck Charlotte Katakuri that has Rush if you're behind on prizes. Well, this certainly seems like a pretty good way to get behind on prizes. And then, of course, you've got that wonderful combination of you've got the card advantage and you've activated Rush. And this sounds good to me, honestly. This sounds pretty gosh darn good. This is a yellow card I could see popping up in a bunch of decks. But you know what I like looking at? I like looking at stage cards. We've got a new stage card here. It is Toown. And what we've got here is a 2-cost card. East Blue, if anybody's wondering. Although technically with the Japanese it's East Sea. But it's East Blue. We know that's what it's going to come out as. And what we've got is activate main. You may put this card and a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck in any order to draw 2. Now, it's a little bit awkward, admittedly. Oh, and obviously as a trigger, you play this card, which is the ideal situation. And basically, what you're doing is swapping 2 cards in your hand for 2 cards, while also paying 2. So you're basically paying 2 and using, getting rid of 2 cards in order to draw 2 more cards. Paying 2 to cycle 2 cards, if you will. Which isn't perfect, I grant you. Because, you're using 1 card, which is, of course, your Toown that you're having to play. Then you've got to get another card from your hand. And you've got to pay the 2 to play Toown in the first place. You do not have to wait a turn. There's nothing here which would suggest you would need to do that. So you can do this immediately. But essentially, this is draw power. That's what you do. You use this to draw a bunch of cards. Now, if you're thinking of something like Nami here, don't get too excited. You are drawing 2 cards. Yay! But you're also putting 2 cards on the bottom of your deck. So the total number of cards in your deck remains the same. So you're not actually getting yourself any closer to winning with Nami, which is a little bit sad. Wouldn't mind some more Nami support. Still not entirely sure Kabaji should be banned, honestly. But the point is, if you're looking for more draw in a blue deck, this one works quite nicely. I kind of like this. I'm not saying it's perfect or broken or going to see a huge amount of play in every deck. But I don't know, maybe Sakazuki can make use of it. One thing I do want to mention, I'm sure I'm not the only person that said this. Anyone else notice that Toown is like that smoker's domain, right? We don't have a blue smoker. We have 1 smoker leader. He's black. It's a black card. So, yeah. That's disappointing to me on a personal level. We know we're not getting a blue smoker, of course, in EB-01. We've seen the leaders from EB-01. We know it's not happening. I wouldn't mind one, honestly. That would make me happy. But hey, we got a new Kyros that is one of the leaders coming in this particular set. So how about a new Scarlet to back us up here? And what we've got is 2 cost 0 power counter plus 1,000. So it doesn't have counter plus 2,000. There's no power. There needs to be a decent skill here. And we've got activate main, trash this character, and then you may play a 3 cost or lower character other than Scarlet that is Dressrosa type from your hand, rested, and then one of your opponent's characters gets -2 cost for the turn. So it's a little bit awkward, I grant you. but actually you're paying 2 to play a free cost Dressrosa card and lower your opponent's cost by 2. And obviously, Dressrosa, I mean, I've already mentioned Kyros, which is one of the leaders in this set. We've also got Rebecca as a Dressrosa leader, but we've got some decent, how about the Kyros from EB-04? Good, free cost Dressrosa character that sees a bunch of play and can essentially be played as a 2 cost here. That seems pretty gosh darn good. Or the Bartolomeo blocker from EB-04. That's a good free cost that sees a bunch of play. I'll be honest with you, that's basically it. If you're looking at free cost Dressrosa characters that actually see a significant amount of play, it's those 2. But they are both staples in Dressrosa decks. So having those being able to be played essentially as a 2 cost while lowering your opponent's cost by 2, yeah. That's genuinely really, really good. Honestly. Like, really good. And basically, you got to play the 2-card combo, which is annoying, but you get to play a free cost as a 2 cost and give one of your opponent's characters -2 cost. And then, of course, you've got a bunch of Dressrosa cards which then want your opponent to have a lower cost. Like the aforementioned Kyros, for instance, that on play, if your leader is Rebecca, you KO up to one of your opponent's characters of a cost of 1 or less. Now, obviously, you are going to be playing this with Rebecca, not the new Kyros, but my point is, playing this as a free cost and then KOing a free cost character because you've just lowered the cost with Scarlet, that seems to actually work out pretty nicely, honestly. Or you could use Leo, which lets you rest your leader on play, and if your leader is Dressrosa, so yes, you could play it with a new Kyros, you get to KO one of your opponent's cost 1 or lower characters, for instance. So, you know what? Yeah. Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, this seems, in a Dressrosa deck, a little awkward at times, but seems like it might absolutely be worth it. So there we go. That's what you need to know. That's what we've got. We've got a new Tony Chopper with wonderful so-so artwork with which I am in love. And then we got a bunch of other cool stuff going on, some other cards we need to be aware of. And I've shown them to you. So now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about these new cards. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far, the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.